Okay, good morning, Marmots. It is Friday, February 19th of the year, 2021. So, another great week this week. We had some good times in the classroom. Fish are growing big. Next week, we've talked about that we're going to start getting the larger fish evicted from that tank, and we're going to relocate them or intern them. We can go and use a good history word, intern them in the other tank until it's time for their release. This date in history, I got a really good one today, and it's going to take me a minute, but it's one that I really like to talk about, and it has to do with westward expansion back in the early 1840s, late 1830s, 1840s is when you saw the westward expansion begin and really start taking shape. You had the Oregon Trail mapped out, and people were moving from the East Coast over to Independence, Missouri, and they'd wait there at the Missouri River, and then they'd cross the river. And typically they would cross the river in July and make their way up to the Pacific Northwest, Oregon Territory by October. Usually that was the typical trip. But this one that I'm talking about, way back on February 19th in 1847, is a really interesting read, and I challenge you guys all to read about it when we're done. But it's the Donner Party. They were finally rescued. So instead of taking the typical westward path, the Donner Party left and arrived in the summer of 1846 in Wyoming. They had set out from Springfield, Illinois. And they had Fort Bridger, which is a fort in Wyoming, and they decided to avoid the usual route, and they tried the Hastings route to get to California. Lansford Hastings was an explorer, and they called it the Hastings Cutoff. Well, George Donner was the captain they elected. He was part of the Donner family. And to make a long story short, it's not going to be short, but nothing's ever short with me. The actual Hastings Cutoff was not that. It was actually added over 3 weeks, and it was a much harder, rigorous path to take, and they lost several people during this part, and they got to they got through the Wasatch Mountains, they got through the Salt Lake Desert Plains area there, and then got along the Humboldt River and finally reached the Sierra Nevada mountains. And I've been here. I've actually visited this site, and they got there in early October, but they had a very early winter that year, and they had some significant snowfall on October 28th, and they were at the Truckee Lake, which is really close to Lake Tahoe. They were basically, it was about 20 kilometers, so about 12 miles, 13 miles from Tahoe. The snow blanketed the ground. It made it impossible for them with their wagons to continue on. So they decided to try and wait out the thaw, and unbeknownst to them, that lasts till February, March. They killed their oxen, they made makeshift tents out of their wagons, and so forth, and people started dying. So this was October 28th. Fast forward a month and a half, December 16th, they decided that, hey, this isn't going to work. We need to get some help. They sent 15 of their strongest men out on an expedition to go get help, trying to get to Fort Sutter. And 3 weeks into it, harsh weather, because you're into January now, killed several of the expedition going for help, and they resulted to cannibalism in order to survive. 9 of those people ended up making it to Fort Sutter. They got people, rescue parties, and news traveled really fast, and they reached, I think it was January 31st, they reached the Donner Party. The people were delirious, starving, all that, freezing. They gave them food as much as they could, and then ended up started to evacuate them. It took them 3 trips of three different parties had to get in there to help evacuate the families. And out of the 80, was it 89? I gotta look, guys, sorry. 89 people that were on the expedition, only 45 made it out alive. So there's a place you can pull off on if you leave from Sacramento in California and drive over the Sierras over to Reno. That's the pass that they were trying to get through, because they have the Donner Party site where you can stop and look at it, and it's really cool. So read about it. The Donner Party is pretty sweet, pretty awesome. That's my date in history. Comment below on yours, and we'll move on to Zoom. Zoom today, always at 10 o'clock. Monday Zoom, I have to move. I have a meeting at 9:30, so we're going to move the Zoom to 10 o'clock as well. So that'll be for Monday. I'll send you guys reminders. I'll send out the invites here shortly after I'm done with this video. Today is a work day. We have to get back in the habit of getting our points in and our work done during the week. So get your 9 points in today, and then we'll kind of go from there. So talk to you all soon. Have a great day. See ya.